Welcome to KGW News at 5 o'clock. Amid Portland's historic spike in gun violence, community leaders and politicians held a call to action today.
And this comes just 2 days before a march planned in North Portland. Morgan Romero was there. She joins us now with the details. Morgan.
The message was loud and clear. Gun violence affects all of us, and the community needs to do more to stop it. Pastor Matt Hennessy held this call to action at Vancouver Avenue First Baptist Church. He was joined by Portland's mayor and police chief, other elected officials, and community leaders. They said addressing gun violence is their #1 priority.
What we need right now are direct interventions with the individuals and families affected by gun violence. And those best positioned to do that work are those trusted community members and organizations that they represent.
It's time out for people being silent about it and assuming that if it doesn't seem to bother me and it doesn't touch my family, then I don't have to worry about anything.
That was Pastor Hennessy speaking. He's a longtime advocate for helping young black men impacted by gun violence. Last week, it hit his family personally. Hennessy's stepson, Jalon Yoakum, was shot while getting pizza in Northeast Portland. Yoakum is one of the 32 people killed on Portland streets this year. That, by the way, is 8 times more homicides compared to this time last year. Police say the city is on track to have the most killings in its history. Many are gang-related and retaliatory. Royal Harris, organizer of this Saturday's March Against Murder, wants to send this message.
The premeditated taking of life is unnecessary. And we've reached an epidemic proportion that is beyond what this city deals with. This is my first cousin. We've been through this with family members, with friends, from the north side of Portland to northeast to the numbers. And as black men, what I'm committed to do as a black man is to elevate the voices of black men, black leaders, black women, to say it's time for us to make a decision that we are the creators of the solution for this situation.
The Portland police chief said they're stepping up patrols around vigils and funerals because those have been targeted. They'll keep working with the FBI and the ATF to respond to and investigate shootings. The march is happening Saturday at 1 o'clock at Peninsula Park and ends at Woodlawn Park. Harris invited the whole community to join. Back to you guys.
Well, this is a top concern for so many people in this community. Thank you, Morgan. Leaders of Mercy Corps, the Portland-based international aid group, said they are horrified by the findings of a new investigation about past sex abuse by its co-founder. Much of the abuse was focused on his daughter, who tried for years to tell adults what was happening.
An investigative report by the Oregonian in 2019 first brought the abuse to light. A warning now, this story has frank descriptions of sexual abuse. Pat Doris reports.
Tonya Culver Humphrey is weary.
It's been an exhausting couple of years. I'm tired. I'm really tired.
She may not feel like it talking in a hotel lobby, but she's probably one of the toughest fighters in the world. For decades, she tried to tell powerful adults in positions to do something that her revered father, Ellsworth Culver, co-founder of Mercy Corps, had sexually abused her and other girls. She said it happened both in Portland and overseas, and that one girl died as a result, and she was ignored. Mercy Corps is an international relief agency based in Portland that works on the front lines of crisis around the world. Now, a year and a half after the Oregonian newspaper investigated Culver Humphrey's allegations and found them credible, a second investigation, paid for by Mercy Corps, backed that up. They interviewed Culver Humphrey for 100 hours and forwarded the names of other possible perpetrators no longer with Mercy Corps to law enforcement.
On the one hand, I'm really pleased that there's accountability and validation and acknowledgement. That's like huge. That's what I wanted.
But she also wants more. She wants you to know international aid workers are in unique positions of power over the vulnerable, and that it would be easy for a perpetrator like her own father to abuse children.
I feel a huge weight of responsibility to keep telling their stories and my story.
She wants you to hear about a disturbing incident that happened while she was 9 years old and on a trip to Thailand with her father. The details are gruesome. You may not want to hear it.
At first, another aid worker was involved with just me. where he raped me and hurt me. And then she was brought in.
This is a picture of Tonya when she was 9 at that hotel in Bangkok. She said she was told to be good at sex because it would help other children.
The thing that I was told was that didn't I want to do a good job? Like, they knew how much I cared about the refugees because I had just been to the refugee camp. I had just been let loose to play with these kids who had nothing. And I cared about them. And I felt guilty that I was the only one with a bed.
She said a local 9-year-old was brought in and her father and the other man sexually abused them both, and later it turned violent.
They choked me, but I didn't die. I saw them choking her. I never remember her waking up. They put her in the bed with me to take care of her, which made me feel even worse because I felt like I was supposed to take care of her.
She spent the night next to the girl, and that in the morning, the girl was dead. The most recent investigators said they could not verify the child's death, but that the times and dates of the trip to Bangkok did match Tonya's story. The horrors lasted until Tonya Culver Humphrey was in her teens. Mercy Corps called the report findings abhorrent. The current CEO thanked Tonya for her courage and persistent, apologized for the actions of past leaders, and promised to continue strengthening systems of accountability and integrity. Now, all these years later, she cannot forget, doesn't want to. The investigation is over, but she's just beginning to warn the world about the dangers of people like her father, a pedophile, hidden in an international relief agency.
I feel so much responsibility. Like, I want to get this right. I want to tell her story. I don't want to tell all those kids' stories. I want people to listen because I shouldn't be the only one that gets to say something.
Pat Doris, KGW News.
Almost hard to continue after a story like that. Let's move on with the newscast now. The family of a former mayor in Cornelius, they are pleading for your help tonight to bring him home. We want to show you a picture. This is Ralph Brown. He's 76 years old. His wife, Carol, says that he drove away from their home in Cornelius Sunday night, telling her that he believed he lived somewhere else. No one has seen him since. Brown has been diagnosed with dementia. The Yamhill County Sheriff, they released this missing persons flyer that we showed you a moment ago. There it is, saying Brown could be anywhere, really. The family says detectives got a tip that he was in the Newburgh, McMinnville area, but they're not sure. They also said he grew up in Astoria, so he may be headed for the coast.
Make sure that if you own a rural property, go tour it. Go tour the edges. Go tour the foresty parts. It could be really quiet, and he might not want to bother people, but he could be there.
The family says there has not been any activity on Brown's credit card, which does worry them. He was driving a car like this one, the blue 2014 Nissan Sentra, like the one you see here, license plate 319KQV. If you see him, obviously call authorities.
It is the end of an era in Soccer City, USA. The Portland Thorns will be searching for a new head coach. Mark Parsons is leaving the team after this season's over to be the coach of the Netherlands women's national team. Parsons has been the Thorns head coach since 2015, leading Portland to an NWSL championship in 2017 and a Supporters' Shield the year before. Earlier this month, the Thorns won the Challenge Cup, and they haven't lost a match this season. Along with the opportunity to coach the Dutch team that got to the finals of the 2019 World Cup, Parsons said the decision came down to being closer to family.
The most important factor for me is to be able to get my family closer to England because, yeah, it's been tough. It's been hard, and the support of Gavin and everyone around me during the last 12 months, specifically last 3 to 6 months where it's been the hardest, has been invaluable, and I'll be forever grateful.
Parsons will finish out the NWSL season with the Thorns. The playoffs are scheduled to run through late November.